Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be continuing our weekly NFL prediction. We are heading into week 2 now. Week 1 was crazy. It was great, honestly. There were some honestly really surprising games that were on. One game that was really entertaining was the Steelers and Jets game. I thought that game was generally going to be a low-scoring slop fest, but it wasn't. It was a higher scoring, a lot of action. Justin Fields played pretty good, and so did Aaron Rodgers. Now, they had to play good for the entire year, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Here is my record after week 1. It's honestly looking pretty good. Obviously, my Seahawks didn't win. I'm always going to bet on them, though, so I'm always going to get, if they ever lose and I bet on them, I'm always going to get at least one game wrong. But for the most part, this is a pretty good record. After week 1, we are 12-4 in our predictions, so it's looking pretty good. Week 2 has some interesting matchups, particularly... we'll get into it later, but the Saints and 49ers, just because of the fact that Brock Purdy might not even play due to a potential apparent injury. So that game becomes a little bit harder to predict because, 49ers are now down without George Kittle and Brock Purdy. But honestly, their defense is probably going to have to shut out the shitty Saints. So, yeah, anyways, let's get started with the Thursday night game. The Washington Commanders versus the Green Bay Packers. Packers are coming off a very good win over the Lions. Man, I thought the Lions would put up a better fight, but they played like shit. And I understand they scored some garbage time touchdowns, but that doesn't really change the fact that they still got their asses kicked. And man, it just makes me wonder, like, damn, what happened to the Lions? And maybe my saying where I think, just because they lost the corners don't mean they'll fall to shit. And I'm not saying they won't fall to shit, but clearly that's just showing that maybe they definitely will have some growing pains. Maybe the Lions will come back to it. But maybe they definitely probably will never be that 15-win team again. So, I don't know. But the Packers, they did a pretty good job at shutting them down. And, again, I might mention, but I'm recording outside, so if you hear any random background sounds of the helmet of the building next to me, I apologize. So, anyways, point being, Packers-Commanders. Commanders had a good win over the Giants. Both teams are obviously coming off a win. Both teams are coming off a divisional win. And it's a Thursday night game. It's a short week. I don't really know where I want to lay my prediction with just yet, just because of the fact I don't really know. Like, I think the Packers have a very solid chance to win this game. They have a very good team over there. The offense is good. Defense is good. The defense isn't perfect, but it's certainly pretty good. I don't know. Jaden Daniels is a great quarterback, and Jordan Love is also pretty good himself. Some people diss on Jordan Love for some reason. I don't know why. I think he's pretty good. All right, enough ranting or rambling. I think I'm going to go with the Packers to win this one. And I know one of my favorite players of all time is Bobby Wagner is on the Commanders. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers on this one, I think. It's at home for them. The Packers are really good at home most of the time, They have the home field advantage. They have a good team, and I think they'll be able to win. But the Commanders will put up a good fight. This will be a good game, and it'll be fun to watch. I'll be watching tomorrow, and yeah, maybe I'll watch my prediction slap me in the face, but who knows. Anyways, I got the Packers winning the Thursday night game over the Washington Commanders. It'll be a great game, but Packers will take it. All right, game 2, Giants-Cowboys. This is a pretty easy one, as the Giants aren't very good. Now, the Giants, I will give them a bit of praise. Their defensive line is very good, okay? They have a lot of good players on that defensive line. And I think in a couple seasons, maybe 2 or 3 max, that defense, as long as they can retain a majority of their players and add new ones, that defense could generally be a force in a couple years. Who knows? Their offense is not very good. Russell Wilson did not really play good in the opener. I love Russell Wilson, obviously, former Seahawks quarterback, but I really just hope he finds his footing, or, maybe it's just time for him to, retire. I don't really know. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks, but it's not going to be a good game for the Giants. I won't say Cowboys. Cowboys obviously probably should win this. Honestly, I'm actually really surprised with how the Cowboys played against the Eagles. They played, honestly, pretty solid. Not good enough to win, of course, but, this is probably just going to be one of those games where the Giants get their asses kicked. It's going to be like, I don't know, 28-10 or something, 28-7, maybe even 28-0, honestly. I don't know, but it's pretty easy to predict this one. I got the Cowboys beating the shit out of the Giants in game 2 of week 2. Next up, my Seattle Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, over the past few years, the Seahawks and the Steelers have played each other a couple times, and it hasn't been really good for the Seahawks. For some reason, they struggle to beat the Steelers. No matter how mediocre the Steelers are, what year was it? I think it was 2022, the last time we played them, or maybe it was 23. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been 23. Yeah, it was 2023. We played them later in the year. If we won that game, generally they could have made the playoffs. Maybe. I think it was. I'm not really sure, but it would have helped the record instead of being 9-8. But anyways, they lost to the Steelers, despite the Steelers starting Mason Rudolph. Now, the Seahawks again have been struggling against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they put up a really, really good show last week against the Jets. Now, granted, it is the Jets. Their defense is not the best. Okay, they have a solid defense, but it's not like elite or anything. And Aaron Rodgers, he did play good. All right, he did play good, but I don't know. And I know I was just saying this, the Seahawks have been struggling, but that's my problem. Is I'll talk about the Seahawks. Is they didn't. I don't know. I'm a Seahawks fan, obviously. I'm a little disappointed with the Week 1 start. Right, the offense was almost slow. It seems like I don't know where really point the fingers at. I don't think Sam Darnold played particularly bad, but I feel like some of the play calls were kind of stupid. I don't know why they constantly try to run a screenplay. That doesn't work, because then a screenplay sets you. If you can't run a successful screenplay, it's going to set you back 3 to 4 yards, and then you're stuck in a second and long, third and long, and it's not easy to convert when you're stuck like that, especially against a pretty solid 49ers defense. Referring to Week 1, and especially you're playing another good defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. The play calling has to be better for the Seahawks here in Week 2, or it's not going to be a good game at all. Obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan, so I'm going to predict with the Seahawks to win, though. No, I'm serious. I'm going to say my Seahawks are going to win. Hopefully. Now, the key for the Seahawks winning is pressuring Aaron Rodgers if they can. Their offense isn't super deep or powerful, so you just got to lock down some superstars they have on that team and try to contain them and hopefully just win by controlling the ball. They got to control the time of possession, because that's one thing they did not do last week, and I just got to say they got to play better on offense. Defense, generally, if the offense could have capitalized on some of the things that defense did, the Seahawks could have beat the 49ers. 2 interceptions, 1 blocked field goal, 1 missed field goal, and they couldn't get a single touchdown off of one of those plays. I'm telling you, the offense needs to play better, or it's not going to be a good game. And the problem is, I'm biased. I'm saying my own team is going to win. But shit, man. If the offense can't even... convert on a single interception, that's a problem. But once again, I'm going to have the Seahawks win, I hope. Don't want to go 0-2. I'm going to lose my mind. Anyways, I got my Seahawks beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 2. Again, maybe a biased pick. All right, but I'm just gonna say it. Next game, Tennessee Titans versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is it's a relatively simple matchup. Now, obviously, the Texans and Texans and Rams game wasn't very interesting, actually, to be honest. It was kind of a lower scoring, boring game. And the Titans, my bad, I keep on mixing them up. The Titans put up a pretty good fight against the Broncos for a while. If they can honestly do that again, and if the Rams have another sloppy game, like they did against the Texans, I'm so sorry, God. Honestly, maybe they could walk away with a win, but that's a long shot. I think it's kind of a long shot to expect the Titans to win that game. So I'm going to probably go with the obvious pick. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Rams to beat the Titans. Now, again, the Titans, if they can play good and honestly put some pressure on them, because they did a good job against the Broncos for a little while, but who knows if that performance can carry forward. And they still lost the game at the end of the day. But I'm going to go with the Rams just because it's probably a safe pick, to be honest. I don't want to make a risk on my record and go for the Titans. Again, the Titans played pretty good, pretty decent against the Broncos, but they need to play even better to beat the Rams. And I don't think they'll be able to do that. So I got the Rams beating the Titans Week 2. All right, next game. The Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Now, the Jets They played good against the Steelers, but I definitely don't think they'll be able to win this one. The Bills just completed on a couple days on week 1. Obviously, they completed a very, very good comeback against the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills are not a team to fuck with, and I'm just going to say it, the Bills are going to win this game. It's a pretty. I mean, I understand the Jets are definitely playing better than they ever have in the past few years, but again, that's week 1, and they have to play good for the entire season. And honestly, I don't know if they'll be able to do that. And again, they're playing the Bills. The Bills are an elite team. And, it's going to be a good game, though. If the Jets could actually, repeat their performance from week 1, this will be a good game. But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I don't really need to go into much in depth of reason why. I just think the Bills are a better team. Josh Allen's a better quarterback. The Bills have a better team overall, as I just said. So, sorry, I'm going to go with the Bills. It's a pretty easy pick, in my opinion. All right, New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. Let's get the elephant out of the room. The Dolphins played like absolute shit against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't really know what happened in that game. I genuinely thought the Dolphins would win, and instead they got their ass kicked by Daniel Jones. So, that's a problem. I don't even know how that happened. I really don't. And I understand the Dolphins' secondary is dookie. It's doo-doo. But, dang, dude. I did not expect that kind of showing. They played horrible, and I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to jump from from horrible to good in a week span. So I think the Patriots, who played a pretty good game against the Raiders in week 1, will carry forward and win this game, because I just think, they're just going to take advantage of that awful secondary of the Miami Dolphins. And I understand it's a divisional game. It can really go any way. And I know any given Sunday's a thing, any team can beat any team anytime, but I don't know, when you lose like that hits you hard. And I just think the Patriots are they're going to whoop. They're going to whoop ass. So, sorry about that. Anyways, yes, I know it's a divisional game that can go anyway, but honestly, I'm just going to, again, look at week 1 for an example. They played horrible. So if they even play remotely close to how they played against the Colts, they're going to get their ass kicked, probably by more points. So I got the New England Patriots beating the Miami Dolphins in week 2. All right, next game, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bengals had a really interesting game against the Browns, to where they kind of played like shit the second half, but they still managed to win. They're going to have to play a bit better, here in week 2. They're playing a slightly more competent team than the Browns, okay? The Jags had a really good performance against the Carolina Panthers, which I'm very disappointed with how the Panthers played, particularly Bryce Young. I thought the Panthers could honestly take a small leap this year. I'm not saying they would have made the playoffs or anything, but I definitely expected a lot more from their week 1 showing. But who knows? It is just week 1. A lot can change. But back to the main topic is, the Bengals will definitely have to play better. The Bengals will have to play a lot better because, again, they're playing a slightly better team than the Browns. But then again, the Jaguars, they're not the most elite team, of course. But the problem is, again, the Bengals don't have a very good defense. Now, as long as the Bengals can score a bunch of points and at least somewhat stop the Jags from scoring, they'll win this game just fine. Certainly, though, as long as the Bengals don't have the problem that they did in week 1, they probably should win this game. But if they do, I don't think they're going to get so lucky where they win by one singular point. They're going to lose if they played like shit in the second half. They need to play They need to play a full football game, okay? They can't just play good for the first half and then play terrible in the second half. That's not going to work. It's not going to work against any team. It'll work against the Browns because the Browns are dookie, but it won't work against the Jags. And I'm not saying the Jags are much better, but still, it won't work against really any other team. So the Bengals got to play better on offense and on defense. They'll win this game just fine as long as they can do that. So, but in my honest opinion, I got the Bengals winning this game because Joe Burrow, obviously, great player. So honestly, no reason to bet. No reason to bet against them. So I'm going to go with the Bengals though. As long as they play better, it should be fine. All right, next game. This is the game I was kind of split on because now there's rumors that Brock Purdy might not be able to play. We got the Saints and the 49ers. Now, the Saints are a bad team. The Saints are dookie. The 49ers are injured already. All right, they're potentially without Brock Purdy and no George Kittle. So their offense is still a skeleton crew. Now, granted, my Seahawks lost to that skeleton crew for some reason. I don't know how. don't really know how you lose to that offense. I'm not, no offense to them, but it's a skeleton crew. The majority of their players are injured, and they lost. But that's besides the point. That's an entirely different game. The Saints are bad, so I'm not going to really bet on the Saints. I know they didn't really play good against the Cardinals, to be honest. The Cardinals are a mid team too, but I'm not going to place my even. Well, that's the thing though, because you got to think about it. I forgot who the hell is the backup quarterback for the 49ers. I think it's Mac Jones. I can't really confirm. Hold on. It is Mac Jones. So, I mean, here's my simple breakdown for this game. As long as the defense can play good, or at least play decent, and the offense can score a little bit, they should be able to win this game. But I don't know, because no, the Saints are bad. I was thinking about picking the Saints, but the Saints are bad. I mean, this could be the game they win. And it'll be lucky for them, because Mac Jones is not a very good quarterback either. So that's the problem. I don't know where to go with this game. I'm really stuck, because okay, Mac Jones is kind of bad, but the Saints are a horrible team. So I really, really don't know where to go with this one. Okay. Give me a second. Because look, think about it, because you think Spencer Rattler's going to be able to beat the 49ers? And that's not even, again, saying the 49ers are an elite team anymore, because they're not. Their elite days are over. Their defense is still good enough to win them games. So as long as the 49ers defense can play good, create takeaways, and absolutely harass the Saints offense, the 49ers should win this game with relative ease. This could be a high-scoring game because both teams are, bad. Or it could be a low-scoring game to where the 49ers win 10-3 or something. But as long as Mac Jones can play solid, they should be able to win. Because the Saints, no one's afraid of the Saints, So really, it should be relatively easy win for the 49ers, even despite all the injuries. The 49ers should have this game in the bag. I'm going to go with the 49ers, obviously. And yeah, they're going to beat the Saints. Only way I can see the Saints winning is if the 49ers defense plays mid and Mac Jones plays like shit. Now, again, Mac Jones isn't a very good quarterback at all. That's the reason why he's a backup. So, yeah, I know this game's really hard to predict, but again, I'm just going to go with the 49ers because I just think they have a better overall team. Even with all the injuries, they have a better team. So, yeah, 49ers beat the Saints. Okay, we are back recording inside for this one, so we won't be outside, you won't sound like I'm outside. But anyways, we're going to resume and pick up with Browns, Ravens. Now, obviously, we all saw the very peak Sunday night game between the Ravens and the Bills. The Ravens almost pulled away, but they did it. Now, granted, the Browns, let's talk about the Browns real quick. They're a pretty bad team, but they always usually squeeze out one win against the Ravens. However, it ain't going to be right here. It ain't going to be in this game. Ravens are going to be angry. They're coming off a loss. One they easily could have won. And I think with, again, how the Browns, if you kind of look at how the Browns played against the Bengals, it wasn't very good. So, the Ravens should and probably will win this game with relative ease. Don't really need to go much in depth with this. I got the Ravens beating the shit out of the Browns in week 2. Next game, Detroit Lions versus Chicago Bears. Now, let's talk about the Bears first. The Bears kind of choked their Monday night game against the Vikings. It looked like they were going to pull away. It looked like the Vikings weren't playing good, and it looked like the Bears were 100% going to win. And then it changed. The Bears lost. In typical Bear fashion, they choked the lead. Granted, usually that happens to the Vikings, but today they played opposite day, and it was the Bears that ended up choking the lead. Granted, both teams are known for that. The Bears, they had a decent week 1 showing. Again, they almost won. They could have won if they didn't choke. They're looking like a pretty good team so far. And then we got the Lions, who didn't play good at all in their week 1 game. Sure, they scored some garbage time touchdowns, but they kind of got their ass kicked. And I swear I predicted this one. I swear I did. I did. I apologize. I almost talked about them twice. All right, let's get to Broncos-Colts. Okay, obviously we all know how the Broncos played week 1 against the Titans. It wasn't a very good performance by them. They were losing for a majority of the game, and they squeezed out the victory sort of last minute. It wasn't very good. But once again, I trust this Broncos team more than I trust the Colts. And the Colts almost had sure, they beat the Dolphins, but that's not much of an accomplishment because the Dolphins are low key kind of mid. Sure, you can some people can say, oh well, they played really good. Like again, they played a pretty mid team to be honest. And I know if the Broncos play bad again, they're going to lose this game. However, I think the Broncos will bounce back, and the Broncos won't play like shit. Hopefully this time around, and that Colts offense, which is really mid, really weak, won't be able to do shit against this Broncos defense, and the Broncos offense will be able to put up some points against this, again, pretty mid Colts defense. So, I mean, again, I could be eating my I could be wrong. I could be big time wrong, but I'm going to go with the Broncos in this one. I think the week one win for the Colts was a giant fluke. And again, they're playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins are mid. It won't happen against any other team, and the Colts are going to be a bottom feeder team this year. That's what I believe. Yeah, I got the Broncos winning this game. Panthers Cardinals. If we talk about the Panthers, they are really disappointing. As I said earlier in the video, they had a really disappointing week one performance. They also had a giant weather delay for some reason. I mean, giant weather delay in general, bad. Has nothing to do with this game though. They're playing indoors today, so that won't happen. The Panthers, I don't want to predict them. I don't think. I don't think. I do want them. I do believe this team can succeed, but I think it's gonna have to start with going 0-2 for the beginning of the year. I don't think they're gonna. And I'm not saying the Cardinals are an elite team because they're not. The Cardinals are extremely mid, but I think the Cardinals honestly probably win this game just because they're not a they're both these teams are somewhat even in a way. Both teams are somewhat mid. Both teams are a couple years away from actually truly competing. But I think the Cardinals should probably win this game just because I think they're a slightly better team than the Panthers. And they have slightly more experience on that team too. So the Cardinals probably should win this game. I'm not sure if it'll be a close game or a blowout, but I can see it being relatively close for the most part. But I don't think it'll be it could be a low scoring game too. It could be like, I don't know, 17-10, something like that. But overall, I got the Cardinals winning this game. Okay. Wait, there's 2 Monday night games? I didn't even know that. Sorry, I was looking at the thing. Okay, anyways. Super Bowl rematch. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, both teams had a pretty solid week one. Except for the Chiefs, they lost, but that's okay. The Eagles had a pretty good performance in week one. And the Chiefs had a solid performance outside the loss. Yeah, it's a Super Bowl rematch. It's going to be a very good matchup, I think. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. But here's where my prediction goes. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't really, again, I'm not going to go too much in depth on this. I just think the Eagles are a better team up front and all around. I think there's obviously obvious positions that the Chiefs are better at. But the Eagles are a super team. They are like the Avengers almost. They are a super team and they have talent all over that team. Not to say the Chiefs don't have talent all over that team, but the Eagles, they're something else. And I think they're going to win this game. It's going to be, I think it might be a high scoring game, maybe. Who knows? I hope it is. I hope it's a fun, high scoring, 30 point type game. I really hope it's that kind of game because those games are fun. But again, I'm going to go with the Eagles. I just think Jalen Hurts, he's great. And again, Patrick Mahomes is good too. I'm not going to straight up hate on him. But the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they got a good team and a great defense too. So, yeah, I got the Eagles winning here in week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch. Okay, Sunday Night Football. Michael Penix Jr. versus J.J. McCarthy. This is going to be a fun matchup. Both teams, Vikings just won. Vikings won last time on Monday night. Falcons lost to the Bucs, but they honestly played a pretty good game. The Vikings also played a pretty good game for them during their comeback. They played pretty good against the Bears, but again, the Bears. Granted, we're also talking about another choker team in the Falcons. We all know what happened with them. I like what the Falcons are doing, but I don't think they're going to win this. I think the Vikings are just a better overall team in a lot of areas. Their receiving core is better. Their defense is probably better. I would say it's probably a better coach team too. So I understand the Falcons are a pretty good team themselves, but I don't think they'll be able to win this game. I think the Vikings are just a different breed compared to them. And also, again, throughout the past few years, Vikings and Falcons matchups have not been very good for the Falcons. They've been very bad for the Falcons, actually. So I think that's going to continue. I think the Vikings are going to win this game. Don't know if it'll be a high-scoring matchup like that, but it's not going to be a great day for the Falcons, to be honest. I think the Falcons are going to lose this one, and they're going to go 0-2. But they'll bounce back eventually. They'll bounce back at some point, but not here. I think the Vikings run away with it. All right. 2 Monday night games. Again, I did not know this was happening. I just realized it. Okay. Houston Texans versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a fun matchup. So obviously Buccaneers won their week 1 matchup. Texans played like shit, sort of, in their week 1 matchup. So if we can take any of that into account, the Buccaneers are going to win. But again, let's just kind of break it down more. The Texans are a good team. They have a lot of talent on that team, and honestly, they need to play better. They can't play like slop like they did against the Rams because they're playing against a really good team here. Honestly, in my opinion, a better team than the Rams. So if they play like slop again, they're going to lose by more than just not 14-9. It's going to be worse than that. So if the Texans don't play better, it's not going to be a good day. A note for the Bucks is they got to make sure they don't underestimate their opponent. I know the Texans had a bit of a sloppy showing for week 1, but they can easily bounce back and punch you in the mouth. So you really got to be ready for that. Baker Mayfield is a really good quarterback, I think. C.J. Stroud's a really good quarterback. Both teams are really well rounded for the most part, except for the Texans. Their offensive line for some reason really dookie. Overall, though, I like the Texans. I do. I really like this team, what they're building over there. And they're obviously going to win their division, and they're going to have a good year. But I think they're going to have a rough start and go 0-2. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game. I just think they are. I think they just have the advantages in this game. I understand the Texans have home field advantages in this one, but I mean, when the Bucks are hot, the Bucks are hot. And I'm not saying they're burning hot in only week 2, but I think the Bucks are a good team, and I think they're going to win this game. So I got the Bucks beating the Houston Texans. All right, Chargers versus Raiders. Now, I don't want to diss the Raiders, but I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm not disrespecting the Raiders. I know they had a good week 1 performance against the Patriots, but the Chargers are not the Patriots. Okay, let's get this one thing straight. The Chargers are not the Patriots. And I know it's a divisional game. These games can really, really go anyway, and I understand that. But I don't think the Raiders are going to win this one. It's at home for them. Yes, I know. But the Chargers are a very good team. They're staying on business, okay? They're tired of being thrown around by the Chiefs, and they're actually starting to get some revenge. Now, I'm not sure if they'll actually win the division, but I generally hope someone else does other than the Chiefs. But once again, the Raiders, I like Geno Smith. Obviously he was a Seahawks quarterback, and some Seahawks fans generally just hate on him, but I respect him. I'm not going to be one of those fans that typically hates on a player the moment they leave, because I don't believe in that. Again, the Raiders, I just don't think they have enough firepower to really compete with this Chargers team. The Chargers are I think they're just better on a lot of levels. And sure, the Raiders have generally good talent. They have talent on that team, 100%. But I don't think they'll be able to win this game. And that's really all I got to say. They'll put up a good fight, but I think it's not going to go in their favor. So I got the Chargers winning here on Monday Night Football in Week 2. So that is the weekly predictions. I will hope my record stays relatively positive. Honestly, if any of these games are a throw game or a risky game that I made a prediction on, I'm going to go back and talk about the Saints and 49ers. I'm not going to take back my prediction because I can't do that. That's one thing I will let you guys know. Don't let me ever try to change my predictions. If I ever try to change my prediction in the next video, like week 3, call me out on it, but I will never actually do that. This is a game I generally am a little worried about on my predictions because the 49ers are injured as fuck, right? They're already without Brock Purdy. He might miss legit 4 to like 4 weeks or so, and they're also without George Kittle. It's not looking good for the 49ers. Already they're having a date with the hospital. Really, I mean, I understand their schedule's easy, but I mean, hey, they can't rely on the defense to win all these games. You know, they got to have some offense. I'm just saying, Mac Jones, there is a reason he's a backup quarterback. And also, again, their offense is already decimated already. And I understand the Saints are a very horrible team. I was about to say mid. They're not even mid. They're bad. I don't know. I think if the Saints can even slow down the offense, just I mean, again, they have Christian McCaffrey at least. The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey at least. But that's the thing. He's also pretty well injury prone, and if you use him a little too much, you'll lose him too. And then what else is this team going to have on offense? I think the key for the Saints to win this game is to simply slow down the 49ers offense. And I understand the 49ers defense, though. They're certainly solid enough to win this game, so they have to kind of be wary of that. As long as they can stop the 49ers offense from scoring, though, and make sure the defense isn't creating any takeaways, for the most part, the Saints could win this game. But again, I'm not changing my prediction. I really just hope. I mean, Grant, I hate the 49ers, okay? I want them to lose this game, which is, I'm not sure why I made the prediction in the first place. I made a mistake, but I mean, I'm not going to bet on the Saints because I think the Saints are trash. So, as much as I hate the 49ers, I believe the 49ers are, even as injury riddled as they are better than this trash Saints team. That's the only game I'm really worried about in my prediction. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, like the Chiefs Eagles game could generally go either way, but for most of these games, I actually feel relatively confident in my picks. You know, the Seahawks Steelers game could generally go either way. Obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan. I really hope my team wins, but a majority of these picks, I feel confident in. Like, there's no game I really point out that I say I don't really feel confident in, and that's the Saints and 49ers. Honestly, another game I might not feel 100% confident in is Bears Lions. But I did pick the Lions already, so I'm not really too worried about it. But again, we got to consider the Lions had a really bad start to the year, but I think they'll bounce back, and I think it's going to start with the Bears. Cardinals Panthers again, that game can go either way, but I think the Cardinals are a slightly better team, so I don't really need. I'm not really like too worried about that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these games for week 2. I'm looking back on it and thinking about some of my picks because I picked the Patriots over the Dolphins, Bengals over Jags, Bills over Jets, Rams over Titans, and Ravens over Browns. Out of all those games, none of them I feel like not confident in. You know, like I don't. I mean, sure, the Dolphins. No, actually no, I don't believe it. The Dolphins are bad. They're gonna have a. I don't know. Their secondary is terrible. And if they play anything like they did in week 1, it's not gonna be a good game. So yeah, I mean, I honestly I feel like who knows, we could like legit get all of our predictions right, other than the Saints and 49ers game, because that's the one game I look at it and go like, I don't know, you know. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to me ramble. So, that is our week 2 predictions. I will see you guys in week 3. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. You can tell me I don't know ball if you want. But yeah, so that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys in the next video.